Hello, students. It's me, Mr. Stremecki. I decided to add a video for this step just to make your life a little bit easier because this is obviously all new for you. Um, Today, we are going to look at step 5 in Reborg's world. And if we go to the section here, if you haven't read through it already, please read through it. We are going to talk about definitions. What is a definition? Definition is basically a custom piece of code that does whatever we want, and we write it in such a way that basically we could type it like we would any other command, like we've got over here. So first, I'm going to start by typing in my notes here. Step 5, written by Mr. Stromecki. It is October 3rd today, 2021. So, I find it's good to get into the habit of leaving space at the top for definitions. If you think about the way that a computer works, you'll notice we've got the lines here. Basically, everything will run in order of the numbers on the side here. So step 1 reads this, step 2 reads this, etc., etc. And so consequently, when we're creating a definition, we want to have it in order. I'm actually going to leave a little bit of space here. I'm going to put in program notes. So first thing I'm going to do, much like we did in our last one, I'm going to start by trying to break this down into a series of smaller steps. So I'm going to take a look at our programming field over here. And basically what we need to do is we go over here, we pick up 2 strawberries, and we drop it at the end. We go up, pick up 2 more strawberries on the other side, drop them off, go up, pick up 2 more strawberries on this side, drop them off, and so on. Basically, the description's a little bit repetitive because basically it is repetitive. One thing that you will notice though is we've got 2 sections, or 4 technically, where we have the same pattern appearing. So basically, the catch with this kind of thing is, in the thing that will sort of twig your mind into saying, oh, I need a definition here, is seeing a pattern like this where we've got some repetition. So I'm going to write down my first notes. We're going to go forward. And and I'm just going to use my plain English here, pick up and drop off strawberries to the left. And I'm going to be a little bit of a hacker here so I don't have to repeat typing out all of this. I'm going to paste it in here, except for I'm going to make a change. Oops, I'm going to change this to the right. So we're going to go up here. I'm going to pick all the strawberries, drop them off on the left. Then we're going to do it on the right. We're going to do it on the left. We're going to do it on the right. And hopefully you're starting to get an idea of the pattern here. So far, I'm just going to change these numbers so they make sense. So that would bring us up to here. This one, if we're dropping things off last, that means that we will be starting from here. So go to flag and done. So number one, we are going to look at our first bit of code. We are going to go and move. That should bring us to here. Now, it is important to think about, as you're breaking things down, how you're going to set yourself up to run off some of these definitions. So if we're assuming that we're going to be here, it's good to think about this in terms of being consistent. So I want to make sure every time I start off a new beginning, I'm going to be facing in the same direction. So when I get to this first definition, we are going to need to figure out the same sort of steps. So the first thing we'll need to do is figure out turn right or turn left. So I'm going to test out turn left. Oops. Gonna move. And we're gonna run this just to see what it'll do. Because if it messes up right away, we won't put a lot of work into it. Okay, that does seem to be working. So basically, that was an example of how we're splitting this up into smaller and smaller pieces. So the next thing we're going to do is take, oops, then we'll move, take, that should bring us to here, picking up our strawberries. Then we're going to want to turn around. Now, this is going to be our signal for our very first definition. So basically, if we look in here, we don't have a version for to create turnaround. So we are going to write a definition. Turn around. Now, the important part to remember with this is syntax. Number one, whatever the name of my definition is, which is a custom set of instructions, uh, we want to make sure that everything is basically united. If we put a space in here, you can see how the text turns from green to white. And that means that it thinks turn is the definition. But when we have this line under here, it thinks turn around is the definition. The other thing I need to make sure that I'm doing properly is my syntax for the definition. So I'm just going to pop into here and I'm going to take a look at the example here. So turn right, bracket, bracket. All right. Then new space. So I'm going to hit return. Now, because the program knows what we're supposed to do, it is automatically giving us the right number of spaces here, which I believe is 3 spaces, which is excellent. So we are going to turn left, turn left. So if I turn left twice, that should put me back where I was. And just to test things out, number one, I'm just going to take a quick look at my definition so far. I'm going to make sure that this is spelled correctly down here. I'm going to rewind it and try it out. Oh, look at that. He turned around. Now for this last part here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to continue along. And by the way, this is the easiest way to test out a definition is just to literally put it into a piece of command code and to run it. Okay, so I'm going to need to move, move, drop, drop. So move, move, and, oh, not drop, put. Because there is 2, we're going to need 2 puts. And we're going to rewind. Awesome. Now, remember what I said about consistency of facing. If I started going facing up, I'm going to want to end up looking forward too. So I'm going to add turn left and test out, see if it's going to end up where I want it to be, which is up. Perfect. Now, here's the thing. I know that I'm going to have to do the exact same stuff for all of this again. So I could go along and just use my turnaround. Another one that we'll probably want to tackle at some point is turn right. So we're going to do that. But while we're talking about turn right, let's talk about the whole idea of using definitions. So basically, we know we're going to have to do this again. We're going to do it here for sure. And this is going to be very similar. So if I'm smart, and before I get too far in this, if I'm smart, I believe 3 turns. Turns equal right. You'll notice it doesn't really matter where I'm putting, oh, not 3, my notes. And if I know that things are going to be repeated, if I'm a smart and, let's face it, efficient programmer, and some would say lazy, why would I want to do all this work again and again? That took me quite a bit of time. But if I'm working smart, we're going to call this, let's call this pick left. We're going to put this into another definition. And I'm going to show you how to save yourself a lot of work. So what I'm going to do, number 1, I'm going to put in my new definition name, which is pick left. And then I'm going to cut all this text out of here. Oh, shoot. Mac problems, Mac problems. Let's try this again. I'm going to cut this. And we're going to paste this into our pick left definition. Now you'll notice that our indents here are a little bit wonky. So if I were to run this right now, I'm going to get an error because it's not going to know what to do. So let's just try that out. No object found here. Yeah, so it's starting to do funky stuff. So for this to work properly, it only got to about here, which is about right. I'm just going to go in and put in, I'm using tab, which is probably the best way to do it, but you could also, again, use 3 space bar spaces. I'm just making sure that the syntax is correct, otherwise this will not work properly. And I'm going to run it again. And so basically, what should happen, we'll run these 2 commands, move and pick left. And it should be exactly where it was before. Oh my gosh, look at that, it worked. So that basically means when I get up here, instead of typing out all of this, I can just type pick left. Now, this is the part where I'm going to leave you. See if you could figure out how to use, what do we have build wall here? Mr. Stremecki, you must have hit the wrong button by mistake. We're going to get that out of here because that's going to mess us up. See if you could use that same process to create your own definitions for not only turn around and turn right, but see if you could figure out a way to pick left and pick right and then get to the end. All right. Talk to you soon. Hope that helps.